There comes a moment in life when you realize that the chaos around you is not the real problem. The real problem is the chaos within you. The lack of control, the absence of clarity, and the constant need for validation from the outside world. At that moment, you begin to understand that a better life is not something you find, it is something you build. Discipline begins in the quiet moments when no one is watching. When there is no pressure from the outside and no immediate reward waiting for you. It is in these moments that your true character is revealed. Most people rely on motivation to take action, but motivation is unstable. It comes and goes like a wave. Discipline, on the other hand, is steady. It does not depend on how you feel. It depends on what you decide. There will be days when your body feels heavy, when your mind is filled with doubt, and when every excuse seems reasonable. In those moments, discipline is the voice that does not argue, does not complain, but simply acts. It reminds you that your feelings are temporary, but your actions shape your future. The ability to move forward despite resistance is what separates growth from stagnation. Self-mastery is not about controlling everything around you. It is about controlling your response to everything within you. Your thoughts will wander. Your emotions will rise and fall. Distractions will always exist. Discipline is the anchor that keeps you grounded when everything else feels uncertain. It teaches you to observe your impulses without being controlled by them. When you begin to practice discipline, you start breaking the habit of negotiation with your weaker self. The part of you that seeks comfort will always try to convince you to delay, to avoid discomfort, to choose the easier path. It will whisper that missing one day does not matter, that you deserve a break, that you can try again later. And while these thoughts may seem harmless, they slowly build a pattern of inconsistency. Discipline interrupts this pattern. It creates a new standard where your actions are not based on convenience, but on commitment. You do what needs to be done, not because it is easy, but because it aligns with who you want to become. This is where self-mastery begins, not in grand gestures, but in small, repeated choices. Every time you follow through on a promise you made to yourself, you strengthen your sense of control. Every time you resist the urge to quit, you build resilience. And every time you choose effort over comfort, you expand your limits. These moments may seem small, but over time they shape your identity. Discipline also teaches you patience. In a world that demands instant results, it reminds you that real growth is slow and often invisible. You may not see immediate change, but something deeper is happening within you. You are becoming more reliable, more focused, and more capable of handling challenges. As this continues, your relationship with difficulty begins to change. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. What once felt impossible becomes routine. You no longer fear effort because you understand that effort is the path. And in this process, you gain something far more valuable than success. You gain trust in yourself. You know that when things get hard, you will not run. You will not wait for the perfect moment. You will act. And that quiet certainty becomes the foundation of true self-mastery. Boundaries begin where awareness begins. Most people move through life without clearly understanding what drains them, what disturbs their peace, or what slowly erodes their sense of self. They say yes out of habit, out of fear, or out of the desire to be liked. And over time, this unconscious pattern creates a life where their energy is constantly pulled in different directions, leaving them exhausted without knowing why. To set boundaries, you must first become honest with yourself. You must observe how certain situations, conversations, and people affect your state of mind. There are moments when your body feels tense, when your thoughts become heavy, when your inner calm begins to disappear. These are signals. But often, instead of listening, you ignore them. You push through discomfort to avoid conflict. You silence your own needs to maintain temporary harmony. But this kind of harmony is fragile. It comes at the cost of your inner stability. Boundaries are not about controlling others. They are about taking responsibility for your own space, your time, your energy, your attention. When you lack boundaries, you allow others to decide how much of you they can take. And most of the time, they will take as much as you allow, not always with bad intention, but simply because there is no clear limit. Each time you agree to something that goes against your inner truth, you create a quiet form of self-betrayal. It may seem small in the moment, but repeated over time, it weakens your sense of identity. You begin to feel disconnected from yourself, as if you are living a life that is shaped more by others than by your own values. There is a subtle fear that often prevents people from setting boundaries, the fear of rejection. You worry that if you say no, you will disappoint someone. You worry that if you step back, you will lose connection. But what is often not realized is that without boundaries, the connection you maintain is not authentic. It is based on compliance, not respect. True connection does not require you to sacrifice your well-being. It requires honesty. And honesty sometimes means saying no without guilt, without over-explaining, and without trying to soften your truth to make it more acceptable. Saying no is not an act of aggression. It is an act of clarity. It is a way of telling the world that your time and energy are not unlimited resources. When you begin to say no with calmness and certainty, something shifts. People may react at first. They may question your change. But over time, they adjust. Because you have shown them where the line is. Boundaries also require consistency. It is not enough to express a limit once and then ignore it the next time. Inconsistency creates confusion. It sends mixed signals that your boundaries are flexible, that they can be pushed if tried enough times. But when you remain steady, when your actions align with your words, your boundaries become stronger without needing to be repeated. There will be discomfort in this process. Not everyone will understand your change. Some may see it as distance, as coldness, or even as rejection. But this discomfort is part of growth. You are no longer acting from habit. You are acting from awareness. And awareness often challenges the expectations that others have of you. As you continue to practice boundaries, you begin to experience a different kind of peace. It is not the temporary peace that comes from avoiding conflict, but a deeper, more stable peace that comes from being aligned with yourself. You no longer feel the need to constantly explain your choices. You become more selective with where you invest your energy. This selectiveness is not about isolation. It is about intention. You start choosing relationships and environments that respect your limits rather than test them. You become more present in the moments that truly matter because your energy is no longer scattered across things that drain you. Boundaries also teach you to respect others in the same way you begin to respect yourself. You understand that just as you have limits, others do too. You stop expecting constant availability from people. You stop taking their space personally. This creates healthier, more balanced interactions where both sides feel valued rather than overwhelmed. Over time, the guilt that once accompanied your boundaries begins to fade. You realize that protecting your peace is not something to apologize for. It is something to maintain with quiet confidence. You no longer feel the need to justify every decision. Your actions speak clearly enough. And in this clarity, there is strength. Not loud, not aggressive, but steady and grounded. You become less reactive to external pressure, less influenced by the need to please everyone around you. Instead, you move with intention, guided by an inner understanding of what is right for you. Your time becomes more meaningful, your energy becomes more focused, and your presence becomes more authentic, because you are no longer divided between what you feel and what you allow. Boundaries do not push people away. They reveal who is willing to meet you with respect and who is only comfortable when you have none. Self-respect begins in the way you see yourself when no one else is there to observe you. It is not built through words, but through quiet decisions that shape your behavior over time. Many people search for respect from the outside world, hoping that recognition, attention, or approval will fill something within them. But no amount of external validation can replace the absence of self-respect. If you do not value yourself through your actions, the respect of others will always feel temporary and uncertain. There is a subtle difference between knowing your worth and living in alignment with it. You may tell yourself that you deserve better, that you should be treated with care, that your time matters, but if your actions contradict these beliefs, the mind becomes divided. This inner conflict creates doubt. You begin to question yourself, not because you lack value, but because you are not reinforcing that value through your choices. Self-respect is reflected in what you tolerate. Every time you accept behavior that goes against your principles, you send a message to yourself that your standards are negotiable. It may feel easier in the moment to stay silent, to avoid discomfort, or to keep peace with others. But each time you do this, you move further away from your own center. Over time, this distance creates a quiet dissatisfaction that is difficult to explain because it is not caused by one event, but by a pattern of self-neglect. To build self-respect, you must begin to honor your own boundaries, even when it feels uncomfortable. It requires you to be honest, then not only with others, but with yourself. There are moments when you know what is right for you, but you hesitate because of fear of losing someone, fear of being judged, or fear of standing alone. Self-respect asks you to act despite that fear. It is not the absence of fear, but the decision to not let it control your actions. This process also involves discipline, in a different form, the discipline to stay true to your values. When you decide what kind of person you want to be, your daily actions must reflect that decision. It is not enough to think about growth, you must live it. This means choosing honesty when it is easier to lie, choosing patience when anger arises, and choosing distance when something no longer aligns with your well-being. As you continue to make these choices, something begins to shift internally. You start to trust yourself more. You no longer feel the need to constantly seek reassurance, because your actions provide their own confirmation. This trust becomes a quiet strength that cannot be easily shaken by external opinions or temporary setbacks. Self-respect also changes the way you interact with others. You become less dependent on their approval, less affected by their criticism, and more grounded in your own perspective. This does not make you distant or disconnected. It makes you stable. You can engage with others without losing yourself in the process. There is also a sense of calm that comes with self-respect. You are no longer constantly questioning whether you did the right thing or said the right words. You act with clarity, and even when mistakes happen, you learn from them without turning against yourself. This creates a healthier relationship with your own growth. Over time, your standards become clearer, your decisions become stronger, and your presence becomes more certain. You no longer chase situations that diminish you, and you no longer settle for less than what aligns with your values. Not because you are trying to prove something, but because you have understood something deeper. that the way you treat yourself sets the tone for everything else in your life. Inner alignment begins when there is no longer a gap between what you believe, what you say, and what you do. For many people, this gap is where confusion lies. You may have clear goals, strong intentions, and a vision of the life you want, but if your daily actions do not support that vision, you remain stuck in a cycle of inconsistency. This inconsistency creates frustration, not because you are incapable, but because you are divided within yourself. When discipline, boundaries, and self-respect come together, this division starts to disappear. Discipline guides your actions, boundaries protect your energy, and self-respect ensures that your choices reflect your values. Each one supports the other, creating a stable foundation that allows you to move forward with clarity. Without discipline, your intentions remain ideas. Without boundaries, your energy becomes scattered. Without self-respect, your standards begin to weaken. But when all three are present, your life starts to feel more organized, not only externally, but internally. Your decisions become simpler because they are no longer influenced by temporary emotions or external pressure. Instead, they are guided by a deeper understanding of what truly matters to you. This alignment changes the way you experience challenges. Difficult situations no longer feel like obstacles that stop you. They become moments that test your stability. Because you are grounded in your values, you do not react impulsively. You take a step back, observe, and respond with intention. This ability to pause creates space between stimulus and reaction, allowing you to act with awareness rather than habit. There is also a shift in how you relate to time. When you are not aligned, time often feels wasted. You move from one distraction to another, from one unfinished task to the next, without a clear sense of direction. But with alignment, your time becomes more meaningful. You know where to invest your effort, and you are less likely to be pulled into things that do not serve your growth. As a result, your energy becomes more focused. You are no longer trying to do everything or please everyone. You are selective. You understand that your energy is limited, and you choose to use it in ways that move you closer to your goals. This selectiveness is not restrictive. It is freeing. It allows you to give your full attention to what truly matters rather than dividing it across what does not. Inner alignment also brings a sense of emotional stability. You are less affected by external fluctuations because your sense of direction comes from within. Praise does not make you lose focus, and criticism does not make you lose confidence. You remain steady, not because life becomes easy, but because you become clear. This clarity reduces internal conflict. You are no longer constantly questioning your choices or doubting your path. Even when uncertainty arises, you trust your ability to navigate it. This trust is built through consistent action, through respecting your own limits, and through staying true to your values, even when it is difficult. Over time, this way of living creates momentum. Small, aligned actions begin to compound, leading to meaningful progress. You start to see results, not only in what you achieve, but in how you feel. There is less noise in your mind, less tension in your decisions, and more presence in your daily life. You begin to move with intention rather than impulse, with clarity rather than confusion, and with purpose rather than distraction. In the end, a better life is not something distant or complicated. It is built through the quiet choices you make every single day. It is shaped by how you act when no one is watching, how you protect your energy when it is being tested, and how you treat yourself when you are faced with difficult decisions. Discipline teaches you to move forward even when it is hard. Boundaries remind you that your time and energy are valuable. Self-respect keeps you aligned with who you truly are. And when these three become part of your daily life, you no longer feel lost or uncertain. You begin to stand firm, not because life becomes easier, but because you become stronger within it. There will still be challenges. There will still be moments of doubt. But instead of being pulled in every direction, you remain grounded. You know what matters. You know where you stand. And you know what you are willing to accept. A better life is not about having more. It is about needing less from the outside because you have built enough strength within. It is about waking up with clarity, moving with purpose, and resting with a sense of honesty about how you lived your day. And in that quiet alignment, you find something that cannot be taken away from you, a deep sense of control, peace, and inner strength that stays with you no matter where life takes you.